Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. First of all, I want to give a brief introduction to China Wood Circulation Society. The society was established in the year 1985. It is the national society, is the largest and the most authoritative society in the areas of timber circulation. And we have some special committees like the department committee and wood floor committee and the business community and the wood engineering committee, which has been approved to establish. Now we are preparing for this committee, and we also have wood skill identification committee, and we also have a website and our special periodical. We have over 600 members around China. Before, the major part of the society is all the wood companies. Since the reform and the opening up, there's a change in our members. Most of them are private companies. Some of them are doing business. Some of them are doing academic. We organize some fair and exhibition every year. We create a platform for the business. We also have do some trainings and technical exchange and communication. So anyway, in other words, the purpose of the society is to provide service to the business. I hope all of you can cooperate with us more in future. Mr. Zhao Guangjie of Nanjing Forest University and the woodlab.com invited me to participate in this conference. I'm very delighted. This is we didn't participate in a lot of academic conference, so I hope that there will be more of this opportunity in future. So I want to talk at my agenda about 2 points. First is the development of the timber circulation in China. Second, I also have some ideas about the wood use and wood culture. I want to share some lights on my ideas in old China. By old China, I mean since the end of Qing Dynasty, due to the bad economic development and the poor transportation system, the circulation of timber is not developed. The most developed areas, the middle and low down reaches of Yangtze River with Wuhan as the center. We can see that as early as 1840, the timber businessmen of Hunan transported timber from Hunan to Wuhan. They transported the timbers via Yangtze River and transported the timbers to Shanghai, Hangzhou. In the north, the timbers could be transported to Henan, Tianjin, and Beijing. This was initiated by Yi Yang Huiguan, and the first timber society in China about 160 years ago. I think Longquanma, which is the unit of timber at that time, it's about 1 million cubic meters timber will be transported. And we also imported about 1 million cubic meters from the North America and Southeast Asia at that time. The second market is the wood market in northeast China. In 1808, the logging farm was established. About 20 logging farms were established. The real market appeared after the China-Russia War and Japan-Russia War. After the China-Russian War, Russia invaded the northeast China and established the Far East Forest Company and built the Middle China and Russia Railway. After the Japan and the Russia War, Japan has invaded the Chinese part, which was occupied by Russia, and established the Japan timber companies. By the year 1931, all the areas and trees and logs in the northeast China were grasped by the Japanese people. About 50 million cubic meters were taken away from China by Japanese people. Most of them were used by Japanese, and some of them were transported to Tianjin and Shanghai and other coastal areas. The third and the other markets are not as developed as the two I just talked about. For example, the Guangzhou and Guangxi areas wood market, and the other market is the middle and down reaches of the Yellow River and the Yunnan, Guizhou, and Tibet market. It is not well developed because of the bad transportation conditions in the northeast part of China. The market is very, very small because of the low economic development. In the old China, the trade businessmen were from the German and Netherlands. In 1885, German people established the first foreign invested wood companies in China. The largest turnover was in 1929, reaching 1.56 million cubic meters. The statistics show that from 1931 to 1940, annual import will be 680,000 cubic meters on average. In old China, the societies and the trade unions were responsible for the administration of the wood circulation. In Wuhan area, there are 5 prefectures and 18 counties, and in the northwest part of China, the businessmen organized their own society. The society and they elected a head, and the society will set the rules for the circulation of the wood, and they collect the service fee. That's the society in old time. They are responsible for managing the circulation of the wood. When Japanese invaded China and occupied China, Japanese established some management committee. At that time, the administration the operation of the wood beams can be classified in 2 categories. First is the mountain treatment and area treatment. The mountain treatment will buy a mountain. The area treatment will buy just the wood as the unit of the timber. At that time, the unit is not talking about meat. They have different measurement to measure the size of the timber. There are various of the ways. There are cubic meters. There are a lot of other Chinese measurement. I will not go to details about all the measurements. After the founding of the new China, wood management goes to the central government. In the 1950, central government established the wood a state company responsible for the administration of the wood. In the 1950s, the supply was larger than the demand. In the 1953, since Tender War, the supply is less than the it's less than the demand. At that time, it's command economy. Everything was controlled by the government. In 1953, there is such a circulation network established. In the year 1963, due to the over demand, the central government established a 7-people leading team responsible in charge of the sale and the purchase of the participated in this 7-people leading group. This shows that China has a very strong demand on wood and little supply, and the trade of the wood at that time. There was a common economy in China. There is no retail and at that time, all kind of indoor decoration. People could not use wood in the indoor decoration because of the lack of wood supply. Every year there were 2 placing the order conference. Each time there will be 30,000 and 4,000 participants, and sometimes the conference can last for 1 month to 2 months. And the central government control is very strict. There's an example in Guangdong. There is a Baiyun Hotel. At that time, that's one of the largest hotels in Guangzhou. At that time, if they want to build such a building, they have to go to central government to ask for the timber to build such a hotel. In Jiangsu province, such a big conference, the central government only gave 1 million cubic meter of wood to them. The local people if they want to build a house, they do not have the wood. They have to dig the earth and find a coffin buried underneath to use the coffin wood to build their house. At that time, the most transportation form is a railway, about 70 or 80. There were also other ways like the river transportation. The condition is very harsh. For each boat, there are about 1,000 to 1,050 cubic meters of wood, and the transporters, they have to use about it would take about 1 month transporting the wood from Sichuan to Shanghai. It's a very harsh condition. In the 1950s or 60s, there were ocean transportation. For one river, there were about 3,000 cubic meters can be transported. But at that time, the more control the government was given, and the more supply the serious the China's wood supply condition is. So that is a very bad circle. From 1950 to 1978, China had produced about 1.176 billion cubic meters. China has imported 160 million cubic meters of wood. So we can see that most of the wood were produced domestically, of course.
And the second phase is starting from 1979 until 1997. the production of the country 1.14 billion cubic meters, and the imported volume takes up 12% of the total supply. In 1985, Mr. Deng Xiaoping gave the guidance that the wood import can just copy the practice of grain import. And after this guidance was laid out, import into China increased. For example, in 1985, the import from United States increased to 6.66 million cubic meters. And later, it was more market-oriented because China adopted a double pricing system. One is state-planned, the other is according to the market. And during this period in Futian of Fujian province, there was pioneering practices that there are more wood importation enterprises who take up the lead across the country. That's why currently 70% of the wood supply is managed by Putian people. And in past year and this year, for 2 consecutive years, Putian people have opened their commercial fairs and to promote investment, and each of these fairs has solicited more than 1 billion RMB. And the Putian governor says that wood has brought about prosperity to the place. So between 1979 and 1997, Putian was taking the lead, and from 1998 onward, it is the third phase. It is a totally liberalized market. And last year's production is 460 million cubic meters, imported 270 million cubic meters. For domestically produced and imported wood. Imported wood includes a lot of log and pulp. So this is the third phase, when the imported volume takes up about 40% of the total supply. And in this phase, the circulation of wood is totally liberalized, market-oriented. So the industry was given a great boost, and the forestry industry's development was also kicked off. Last year's importation volume was 6.5 billion US dollars, excluding of that from paper and pulp, and the exportation value is relatively twice of the importation value, and the exportation items are major wood furniture. For example, the exportation of wood furniture is around 1.87 billion US dollars. And the importation is major in log and sawn timber. And in this third phase, there is no national ordering meeting, and there are more local practices, more flexible ways to conduct a trade. Currently, 4 trade ways. The first, local timber markets. For example, Furen Market in Shanghai and Dezhou in Guangdong. They are all our member markets. second way of trade is at different ports, like the Zhangjiagang port, Yangzhougang port. And the timber is traded on spot. Although there is no tangible market form, the trade is quite frequent and flexible here. And the third way is through Manzhouli, Manchuria, and Sifenhe from Russia. This is the trading form that on the waterway. It's an original trading way, however, efficiency is high. For example, when the train arrives, and the mobile phone number of the seller will be attached to each section of the train, and if a buyer wants to buy, he can directly call the seller. Original and premiable as this way is, the efficiency is pretty high. And the fourth way of trading, in some bases of wood production like Linyi in Shandong province or in Puzhou, Linyi is a production base of plywood, and each day there will be trucks from Zhangjiagang and Yangzhougang, these ports, and each truck will take 50 to 60 cubic meters of timber, and each morning these trucks will arrive in Linyi of Shandong province. There will be hundreds of trucks lining up in the quay. In the early morning, manufacturers will go to Linyi and to buy timber, and it's also on spot trading. And once you buy a truck of wood, then the truck driver will directly drive what you buy to your manufacturing base. Primeval way, very efficient, and the cash trade. So these are an overview picture of the circulation, and my final point is our conclusion. My conclusion. Personally, I recommend the greater and more utilization of wood, because wood is renewable, and we should change an old mindset that the utilization of wood is necessarily against environmental protection. I see many media coverage about the reduction of use of wood, and it seems that it will naturally protect the environment. However, if we look at the economic performance in the past years, we may notice that if there are more forbidding regulations, then people will have this psychology to use more. And since wood is renewable, the actual use of wood will protect the environment. This is true in both China and overseas countries. For example, we have got data from United States in 1952. Utilization 336 million cubic meters, and in the 1990s, the utilization increased to more than 5 million cubic meters. However, during the same time period, the storage of forests increased from 17.4 billion cubic meters in 1953 to 24.2 billion cubic meters in 1993. So the old philosophy that the more you use, the less you have is not true. Actually, the composite is true. The more you use, the more you can store. For example, the blue represents Hubei, Shanxi, where the plywood is low. The increase in the storage is also low. However, in the red parts, which represent the usage of plywood in Zhejiang, Shanxi, and Fujian, although there are much more uses, their storage is also increasing. And in the north of Jiangsu province, the poplar storage also increased sharply. The only reason was that there is a great demand and use of poplar. And in the forest coverage in North Jiangsu province is above 30%. Back in 1980s, the coverage is only 2%. Just as mentioned that people would dig the coffin out to build their house. And the only driving force behind this is the great demand of this popular wood. If you have an opportunity to go to north of Jiangsu and go to Henan, you will see such changes and very green landscape. So my opinion is that no restriction, more encouragement. In recent days, experts have talked about a similar issue. China wants to encourage more utilization of wood, and one application is the wood structure. China is like a blank sheet in developing the wood structure. We have no experience, and the structure of constructions in China are quite irrational. Per capita consumption of cement is 950 kilograms. However, the world average is only more than 100 kilograms. You can notice very irrational consumption. And the wood and also the steel consumption per capita in China 360 kilograms, and the per capita consumption of steel of the world average is 180 kilograms. However, wood per capita in China 0.2, the world average is 0.26.
That means China do not have a lot of wood structure buildings. If there are some projects, this is because the initiation of some foreign wood societies and organizations to have projects in China. But in China, for ourselves, we do not have a lot of wood structure buildings established in China. Actually, we can see that wood structure buildings are actually very good. Here I have a concerns I want to share with you. Yesterday, people talk about the technical issues. Today, people have such concern that China have too many people and too less land. Can we build? In China, Japan have more people density in China than in China. So why can Japanese people build such wood structure buildings? So I think we have the wrong positions. People just believe that the wood structure building are villa, are the very luxurious house, and they want to build the wood structures in the cities. It is possible because we have too many populations in China. But actually, we should understand that we have a lot of rural areas. For example, in the southern part of the China, people are rich, and there are a lot of beautiful buildings in the southern part of China. If we can build those little good buildings in southern part of China, that will be okay. Another thing is the cost, which is the concern of all of you. The cost is high because we have to import a lot of the import parts like OSB, LL. If we can produce all these things domestically, the cost will go down. OSS, LL, for these things, our Chinese people can produce it. Why we do not produce that? Because we do not have market for it. So after the localization, the price will go down. The third concern is that I want to talk about that the wood structure is light. They do not have much demand on the basis, so that we also can lower the cost. Canadian society has a wood society has a project in Shanghai. They told me that they can build a house with 4,000 per square meters, and they have all kinds of decorations like the carpets and the refrigerator. You know, when you went to abroad, if you go to abroad, you can see that in foreign country, when they finish building a house, they will all the furniture, home appliances installed in them. So I think the price can go down in the coastal and some rich areas. Such a price is acceptable, is affordable. The third concern is the wood resources. People have a misunderstanding that China has less and less forest resources. I think that is a misunderstanding. I think globally, in the year 1990, the forest storage is about 170 billion. Nowadays, it's 38 billion. So I think that in total, the world has more and more forests, but it's not even. The tropical rainy forest decreased, but non-tropical rain forest increased. So that is imbalanced. The damage of the tropical forest is not because the use of the forest. I think every year there are some consumption. There's increase of the. Most of the reason for the damage is for the people to chop down the trees and to build farmland. It's not for the industrial use. So I believe it's not because we use the tropical forest, not because the bad administration. That's the reason for the damage of the tropical forests. We should not to ban the forests. It's not the right way to control the depletion of the forests. The more control you give, the bad the situation will go. So I think we should combine the circulation of the wood and the protection of the forest resources. You know, in the tropical areas, it is much more easier for them to grow trees, to build forests. So I think if we can have a good administration, the more they lock down trees, the more there will be forests. There are a lot of foreign organizations attacking China irresponsibly. Yesterday I heard such a rumor that 50% of the tropical forests came to China. It is totally nonsense. You know, last year we imported about maybe some dozen million, but what is the total chopped down tropical forest? About 300 million cubic meters. It is impossible for the 50% of them coming to China. I think it's just to demonize China's wood business. So we should not get misled by the media. We should have our own clear understanding. I think these organizations, they should spend some money to plant trees in the tropical areas. That will be more sensible. About China's society, I think China's fast-growing forest, that is no problem. The second is China's importation. I think major source of import of China is from Russia. 70% of our imported forests come from Russia. Russia has abundant forests. It's very rich. It has about 60 billion storage forests. And the usable forest is about 500 million forests. And last year they have locked down about 112 million forest, which is lower than the growth of the forest. We all know that if we chop down too little trees, which is also very bad for the general forest. The major export of Russia's wood is to Finland for pulp production, for Japan, and for China. Japan do not have a very big market. I think the major market is China. If we can use Russia's wood, it's a win-win situation. It's good for China, it's good for Russia's tree and the environment. It will benefit the third party. So I think it's no problem if we continue importing the timber from the Russia. So and overall, I believe that we should use wood more to replace iron and cement. In this way, can we save more energy, protect environment, and protect our globe? Thank you very much.
我想问一个问题，问那个朱会长，因为今天上午您报告中谈到了这个莆田人现在在中国这个木材贸易中起到很重要的作用，其中占了70%吧。我想知道为什么不是东北人或者北京人、广东人、上海人，为什么是莆田人？您能谈谈具体是什么原因能够让莆田人能够到今天这个在木材贸易中占到这么重要的位置？
这个问题是比较难回答的。这个莆田人呢，他第一他比较吃苦，另外呢比较团结，比较抱团儿。他们出去采购木材的时候呢，都是互相帮助。你一般都用现金采购，到东北呢用现金采购呢，这样可以比你用支票啊可以便宜20%左右。所以这样呢，他们互相的就是莆田人呢，他们叫莆田帮了，他们在互相大家团结起来，共同来进货，这样呢，就他们所取得的木材的价格呢，就比一般的国营公司要低。再加上其他也给这些装车的一些小费以后啊，所以他们从进货这个渠道呢，它就比较便宜。那么从销售这块儿，那么他在使用一些其他的手段，是吧？包括减粮啊，或者是其他的方面，相对起来呢，又可以赚到一些便宜，所以这样整体国营木材公司呢是竞争不过他们。至于说为什么是莆田人，这个就很难说，因为莆田现在是有2大行业在中国非常的发达，一个是木材行业，一个是医院。全国据说70%-80%的医院的经营都是莆田人。这为什么这个我也说不清楚。